The Cleveland Cavaliers erase a 14-point deficit and find themselves at 11-0 and keeping the streak alive. The Steelers find a way to steal her yet again, or do the refs rob them, or the Commanders, that is. And what does this mean for the Browns? Can the Browns win the AFC North next year? Because what exactly are we watching right now, man? That's what we're gonna be getting into in this episode of the Crockpot Podcast. So I appreciate you guys for tapping on in. Make sure you guys are like, subscribed up wherever you're listening to the podcast, whether it be Apple Tunes. You know what I don't even know why I'm going down that path. You know where you at. I appreciate the support, but let's get right into this because a lot has happened since the Cavaliers game. Because I was watching. I mean, I had a little parlay going. The only leg that I needed was the Steelers to lose. And I'm not gonna get to the Steelers yet because we gonna start on a positive note with the Cavaliers going 11-0. But the Steelers, man, they really pee me off. But let's talk about our Cleveland Cavaliers, man. And let's start it with just the coaching, right? Like, how about the coaching of this?
Dagger block and the Cavaliers.
Everybody, Evan Mobley. I mean, we already knew the defensive juggernaut that this guy was. Like, sealing the deal, putting the icing on the cake. But the fact that he's evolving into the offensive player and the player that I was talking about last year, if you remember during the playoffs, I don't know why I always like to go back to what I'm talking about, but I just like to go back to reference. If you go back last year during the playoffs, I'm like, man, I really wish he just had that KG grit. He ain't gotta have the same mentality because we know the KG a different breed when it comes to that. But like the way that KG's style was, he needed to implement that. And we are seeing that he is more physical than he was. He's more decisive in what he wants to do with the basketball. No more of that 4, 5, 6 pump fakes trying to get people. I don't know what Atkinson told him and what he did to unlock the offensive side of the Evan Mobley. But this is what we wanted when we drafted him with the 4th overall pick. This is exactly the Evan Mobley that we were hoping for. So the coaching is tapping into all of this potential. You talk about Darius Garland. The fact that this dude, Darius Garland, right? Where was the stat at? 20 and a half points, almost 7 assists per game, almost 4 threes a game, and he's shooting at a 50, 40, and like what this dude is doing right now, he's quieting the doubters and he's quieting everybody that doubted him postseason. And I think we forget how tall of a task it is to have your mouth wired shut and having to eat through a straw and your grandmother passing away and all of the mental hurdles that he probably was battling. And then you look at the dollar sign and you see it's not translating, and then you don't show up in the playoffs, and then you're leaving your superstar player Donovan Mitchell out there to dry because he's out there putting up 35 plus points a game. You put all that out there, and then he comes out. Your team is 11-0. Big reason because you are stepping up to the plate offensively. You're playing very well defensively. And the coach is inspiring him on another level. Again, unlocking Darius Garland. He's telling Darius Garland he wants you to shoot 10 threes a game. Like, yeah, sign me up. We're paying him $200 million. I want him to shoot 10 threes a game because right now, I mean, he clipping them and we're putting up a lot of points. And that's what you want come the postseason. We know what we could do defensively. That's what we prided ourselves on when we had JB Bickerstaff. But now the fact that we have the defense and we got an offense to go with it, this will be scary come postseason. And I've seen somebody talk about, well, wait until they play the Knicks in the first round. Here's the thing that I have to say with the Knicks. The Knicks don't like to go deep in rotation, and the way that we play basketball, sure, the Knicks are going to make it tough on us because they just seem to have our number. But if we're moving the ball the way that we're moving, if we're putting up points the way that we're putting up points, eventually we're going to tire them out. Eventually, you're going to pass them out. Like, the ball's just going to be moving too much for 5 players to play 48 minutes, 7 in a 7-game series, in my opinion. So I got to give major credit to Kenny Atkinson for tapping into the potential and for all of these guys to evolving into what they want. You got Ty Jerome. This is, I think, the craziest part of yesterday's game. Not the fact that they were down 14 points, right? Like, the fact that Ty Jerome had an 8-point difference, at least 8 points that I can think of. It might have been 10 because I don't know if I'm counting the one where he had Dennis Schroeder. Matter of fact, where is it? Where he had the Dennis Schroeder tip right here out of bounds. But the fact that Ty Jerome, he had 0 points coming into the fourth quarter. He had a total of 18 minutes. And do you see how much time is on the clock right here? This is 46 and a half seconds to go with Ty Jerome with the ball in his hands. He has 2 points in the game up until this point. Evan Mobley's on the floor, Darius Garland's on the floor, Karis LeVert's on the floor, Donovan Mitchell's on the floor, and Kenny Atkinson lets Ty Jerome get an ISO situation at the top of the left key to get a bucket to put you up 3 in the fourth quarter when he had 2 points up until that point and he had 0 points going into the fourth quarter. That is the type of stuff that when it comes to the postseason and you can get contributions from guys like Ty Jerome in the fourth quarter and in big moments, that separates the championship teams. Derek White's the Derek Whites of the world. We know what Sean Livingston did to us in those postseasons. Andre Iguodala's won a freaking MVP for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Like if you can get the contribution from your back end guys, you know what you're gonna get out of Evan Mobley. You know what you should be getting out of Darius Garland. You know what Donovan Mitchell's gonna bring to the table. It's those other guys that is going to separate you moving forward. So that's what I'm super excited for. Really, like I wanted to just get to the All-Star break because that's when basketball really gonna start to count. Like this is all like that honeymoon stage. Like we just riding the wave now. And coach even came out and talked about it. He said that everyone's focusing about it. He said at one point he was in the huddle thinking to himself, like, is this really how you want it to end? So the fact that they are understanding the moment, they're living in the moment, and they're playing for something else right now within a season. This is a long season, but right now their mind is focused on this win streak. So us as fans should be excited to know that a lot of players sometimes like to brush it off, like, yeah, we're not paying attention to it. We're just gonna go out there and compete and do da 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 da. Like they give you that vanilla answer, but they're out here telling us like, no, we know what's going on right now. We're riding this wave, and I think that's important. And I think it ties to the chemistry. I forgot to even talk about that. Like I wanted to talk about how this team, I compared it in the reaction video to the 2016 team, and someone in the comment section, I think it was on Instagram, mentioned it was like, it's crazy. You lost me once you compared it to the 2016 team. This team has very similar traits to the 2016 team. That 2016 team's chemistry was some of the best chemistry I think we've ever seen. Like they were just so gelled and so in tune, and just it was just poetry in motion, as a Cleveland guy once said before. That's now in Buffalo, but this team's chemistry is it, I don't know if it's better than the 2016, but if it ain't better, it is equally as good because this is about as good of a chemistry that you can have in a team. And I think chemistry goes a long way because I'm going to refer back to the Knicks. Their chemistry that they had, the reason why they could run that 5-man rotation and they could play all the minutes, it just worked so well. They just gelled. And you're getting that in an entire team. That is dangerous. You're putting up 120 plus points a game. Defensively, you're one of the best. You're shooting the three ball one of the best in the league. Like they have every tool in the tool packs. They have all the recipes to cook up a championship. To cook up a championship. So we got to just enjoy this ride now, but we can't get too excited or too overly hyped just for the simple fact that we're only 11 games in, right? Like we know how Cleveland can be. Let's be honest. We've seen plenty of Cleveland teams get hyped up or have a great stretch early on and then they slowly dwindle down. I really don't think that that's possible with this team. What I am excited to see is when the adversity hits, this team is living by the three ball right now and they're hitting at a very high clip. There's going to come a point in time where a shooter slump may come about, maybe not, but there's going to come a game or two, or maybe even a stretch where the three ball is just not hitting. And that's going to change the style. That's going to change the pace. That's going to change the way that we see this team. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Kenny Atkinson adapts to that. because that's when we'll truly see what this team is capable of. And I think it's gonna be okay because we weren't a high powered offense last year. Like everything that we've based this team off of is defense, and that's what they've been saying. Everything starts with the defense. So even if they're not hitting at a high clip, I still think that they have what it takes, but we don't know that yet because we haven't seen it. Everything is smooth sailing right now. So I'm super excited to see when the adversity hits, when they have those games where they're shooting 20% from the 3-point line and they got to get it done in the paint or they got to get it done on the defensive side of the ball. Like that's when we're going to find out what this team is made of. It's easy to go along right now and be like, we're the best in the league right now. Nobody's going to stop us. Well, this is also a fresh voice in the locker room, and we haven't seen what he does when adversity hits. So that's something to pay attention to. But with that being said, one thing that I was paying attention to, like I mentioned in the beginning, the Steelers, man. I just needed them to lose. That's literally all I needed was for them to lose. And they get the ball back, and then the Commanders get the stop, and I'm like, oh man, they might actually do this. And then the refs gave one of the most terrible spots that you could give. And then it just seemed like we get every other angle. But the two camera angles we got on the Zach Ertz catch, he needed to get to the 41, but they marked it at the 42. How does that make sense? How the math ain't math in there. How do the Steelers find a way to do what they do all the time? There was zero expectation for this dude. This dude, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, turned back the clock. Because before this throw, he had the little scramble thing where it was just like, oh my God, he's about to get sacked. And then no, it's not. And then he comes out and does this. Mike Williams, 1 catch, 1 touchdown. Welcome to the freaking Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is just vintage Russell Westbrook.
Upstairs.
Westbrook. Yeah. Russell Westbrook. This is vintage Russ. Blitz is coming, willing to take the shot if he gets hit, and just trusting his receiver to go up there and make a play on 3rd and 9. If you're the Commanders, you get a stop here. This game is more than likely over. It's two down territory for them, so you know they're going for it, right? You get a stop. They have 2 timeouts. You're a 1st down away from sealing the deal. You need 1 play with 2:24 to go. You send a blitz, and Russell Wilson throws a ball from the heavens and drops it right into Little Red Riding Hood's basket, right down Commander way. It truly is. And then you look after the game, you just look at or no, matter of fact, let's not even get to after the game. And then the defense, and you know you have no timeouts. You got the stop you needed. And Mike Tomlin, the chess player that he is, knows more than likely he's going to punt it. You go for it here. It would have been very interesting to know if he would have truly went for it. Don't think he would have, because you have the lead. Your defense is you have the best defense in the league, arguably, or one of the best defenses in the league. And the Commanders have no timeout. You need 1 stop. So this is all fluff. Let me see how disciplined your guys are. And then you have a vet who has a cadence, just a great cadence. And you have the IQ of a peanut. How do you not understand the situation here? How do you not understand?
And there is a jump. Washington played into their hand.
Look, 77 could not believe. Wilson, that they weren't going for it.
Celebrating.
The Steelers were not going for this. They were not going for this. This was simply, I'm about to test you. And somehow the Steelers intimidate everybody, and they always find a way to just do Steeler things. And here they are at 7-2 at the top of the division. It is you. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that the Steelers would be 7-2 and the Browns would be 2-7, I would have been willing to bet my hair. I would have been like, I'll go bald. You got to give me $10,000 though. If we do go 7-2 and the Steelers go 2-7, that would have been the bet. $10,000 or my hair, and I would have been so comfortable betting it. I would have been bet. I would have bet anything. Two, and then like Mike Tomlin, everybody. You got I guess shout out to my boy Mark from Roundtable Sports. He says 20% of the fan base wants Mike Tomlin gone. I want to know what they think now. Do you still want Mike Tomlin gone? Because Mike Tomlin is the reason why this franchise has had excellence over the past 20 years. Well, since Cowher has left. Mike Tomlin is the reason why you guys is a big reason why you guys are 7-2 right now. He made the tough, ballsy decision to bench Justin Fields just because the offense wasn't doing what it needed to do. And guess what? It's worked out in every aspect because the offense is putting up points. They put up 28 points against the Commanders. They've won games in any fashion that you can think of. The confidence is in every player. And guess what? TJ Watt finds a way to make a play every single time when it matters most. He had a batted down ball on Jaden Daniels the drive before they got the second opportunity. And it's just like how every time everything works when the Steelers need it to work. And that's culture. And that's something that I'm curious. Will the Browns do they have a shot to win the division next year? Right? Because when you look at this division, it's crazy how one season can have us sit here and question this, because it shouldn't even be this hard of a question to be like, of course the Browns should have a chance to win the division next year. But as I ask that question, I ask another question and I say, why would anyone choose the Browns over the Steelers, over the Ravens, and to an extent over the Bengals? Because I think the Bengals are just money problems right now. And I think if you don't see how it's affecting, and you can't go into next year and be like, yeah, we're going to do this again. Like, no, they're going to pay people next year, right? Or they're going to bring new talent in and pay them a different type of way. But when you look at the Browns situation and you saw the expectation that you had, and this isn't like a step back. This was such a big step back because now you have to prove to people again that you are who we thought you were. And yet we are who the trolls thought we were, and we're living up to that expectation, which is poverty, right? And when you're talking about going from last year to Jordan Hicks taking less money to come play with Jim Schwartz because the Browns had an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and Rodney McLeod running it back one more year, knowing that what the Browns have, and you see Nick Chubb taking pay cuts and getting done right, and David Njoku being a staple in Cleveland, and Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and Grant Delpit and JOK taking a pay cut. And you see all of this stuff because you know how talented we are and where we should be as a football team. Yet we're 2-7. And you look around in this division, and it just seems like everybody is miles ahead of us. How is that possible? And you'd be like, well, how are the Bengals miles? Joe Burrow is playing out of his mind. Jamar Chase just put up 260 something yards. I know they're not winning games, but it's like they're just mentally, they're distracted. And I think they need a new voice as well too. But when you talk about the Steelers and the Ravens, I mean, the Steelers, it looks like they may have their guy in Russ. And if you have your guy in Russ, now you're talking about adding pieces in the offseason and actually gearing it towards Russ. And George Pickens is starting to get into the player that he we knew he could be, getting the opportunities. I mean, if Mike Williams is going to come in and get one catch on a bomb for a touchdown, they may be all the difference. So that's the difference. You know what I mean? So like you mix that into the fact that you've got three teams that are competing just as that are better than you. Let's just call a spade a spade. Everyone in the division is better than the Browns right now, and it's not even close. And as crazy as that sounds, we have one of the most talented rosters in the league. That's why this season was so important, because now perspective and now image and now that aura creeped its way back into the vents. And now it's back in the air. The Browns is the Browns stigma is here. The here they are, that they're back again is here. The laughing stock of the NFL is back on the table. You have to go out and prove people that that this was an anomaly. You have to convince players to, or you have to overpay again. Like, you have to go down that rabbit hole that we thought we were out of. And what's going to make this even more uncomfortable, and what's going to make this even more crappy, is we have no idea what they're doing with Deshaun Watson. Not a single clue what they're going to do with Deshaun Watson. The only thing that Andrew Berry has told us, the only thing that they're focused on right now is getting Deshaun Watson healthy. And from all the reports that we've heard, I think it's a 9 to 12 month rehab or something like that. And he's on the hook for 173 million or something like that. And if they leave this window open for Deshaun Watson, like, that's just not that's just no indication that they want to win right now. And it just feels as if everything is slowly starting to move towards the stadium and the rebuild there. And it's like, how do you how is this really the reality? Do we really are we really gonna have to fool ourselves into the next 6 years, 5 years, or however long it is, that we're gonna play competitive football and we're gonna waste Miles Garrett's prime and Denzel Ward and JOK. We're gonna waste these guys' prime by just hovering around decent when we were an above average team last year. Like, we were pretty damn good last year, and now you're pretty damn bad this year. Like, how are you selling this? How are we supposed to buy in? What, like, again, why would anyone choose Cleveland right now over the other three teams in the division? That's the question that I'm asking you guys. Because if I'm a player look from the outside looking in, I have a hard time being like, damn, I want to go to Cleveland right now over Pittsburgh. Oh, you mean to tell me I can make $2-3 million less to go to Pittsburgh when I know the situation that I can get myself in? Or take the extra $3-4 million and go play for the Browns, where I could potentially this be the one last. You know what I mean? Like, that has to weigh on players' mind, and that also has to weigh on the players' minds that are here. The Miles Garrett's of the world, the Denzel Worlds of the world. Obviously, JOK and these guys, they're all under contract, but Miles Garrett's about a year or two away from another contract. We have a year, we have this season to figure out what the hell we're doing with Nick Chubb. David Njoku was being thrown around in trade talks at the deadline. Now, if they get rid of these guys, that should give you every indication of what's about to go down. That's why I kept saying in the offseason, this was the biggest year that this organization is ever going to have. And now we have to see how it's going to play out in the offseason. Because what they do in the offseason, oh man, it's going to show. It's going to tell us a lot. We'll know a lot of answers by the end of this offseason, or by the offseason, and by the time the next season starts around. So I leave you off with this. Can the Browns win the division next year, realistically? And if they can, what is it going to take for them to win a division? Is Andrew Berry going to get fired? Is Kevin Stefanski going to get fired? Are they going to draft Cam Cam Ward or Monroe or Hewers? Are they going to trade back? Are they going to go offensive line? What are they going to do? Are they going to go soft rebuild? Are they going to start to tear this thing down? Or are they actually going to come out here and compete and try to win the division next year? Let me know in the comments. I'm anxious to know. And make sure you guys are tapped in for the next episode. And also tap into the live stream tomorrow, 8 p.m. Cavs versus Bulls. We back, baby. Live commentary. We getting it in. Hopefully we don't cause a loss, because I would feel real bad if I come live and we lose. I already know the hate that would come with that. So please pray for us, and that we get the dub, because we're going live tomorrow. All right. So I appreciate everybody listening and locked in, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Crock Pot Podcast. All right. Peace.